Okay, so the recording has started. Okay, so what I was doing is I created a node, and then I was using this cache store to cache all the schemas, request bodies, commands, and stuff like that into one store or one place, so that we can reference to them during the runtime. Like if we're traversing the ASD, and then we needed to like get a reference to something else, and then just get that information and like copy and paste it into the place of the reference, then this will be a useful way to do that. So I tried to do that, and it was working for me. And I think during some changes I missed something. Just let me have a look. And it should actually display all these comments, and it's undefined for now because of I don't know what I changed, and I need to figure out that. Oh man, there is something wrong with my code. But anyways, what it will do is it will have all the request bodies, schemas, and comments in the main object of the like ASD. So let's say if I want a reference like this, request bodies dot base user. So what this parser will do is, or maybe if you can have a look at the extended one. So I'll just go back. And yeah, now it's parsing. So look at this user that is extending the base user. So this is the user schema expression which is extending the base user. Okay, so look at this at this time at the parser. But what does parser do is parser is not going to put all the values from this base user into this at the compile time or at the like parsing time. So what we'll do is we will do that in the next stage when the transformer gets the ASD. And then if the transformer sees that the type has extended some schema or something like either as a request body or whatever it is, so what it will do that in the runtime. So it will be helpful for us to like build something that will like work with as code splitting as well. And then the good thing is it will not matter if this is on the top or if it's after the usage of it. So you do not need to declare it in like before usage. So this is going to like be very flexible because we will have so many files where we'll have like uh, will not have a correct sequence of the files to be imported into like one giant file. So what we'll do is we'll keep this cache store. So once someone refers to the uh, to a class or a schema, something that can be extended, so it will just get that class or schema or whatever it is from the cache, and then get all the properties and put it in the place where it was used. So in this case, what we'll do in the transformer time in the stage 2, we'll just get all the properties that are defined here, and we'll just paste it before these properties. And it will also like we'll be able to replace the existing. Let's so if we want to extend this but we want to keep this but we want to change this name string, so we can just do that, and we can like add first as string and then last as string. So similarly we'll have the short syntax as well that we have already described in the DSSG editor of like we have the POC working, so which is only working on this object schema. So this is how it transforms your Swagger object definition into a fully qualified OpenAPI spec. So this is how it looks like. like this is an object, so it is a type object, and then it has some properties, so we're going to have an object of properties. So this similarly, the name is of type string, so this name is of type string, and similarly the age of type string. So look at this city s, but it is using this proper type string value. So we have short syntaxes for types as well, like if it's a string we can use s, if it's a number we can use n, if it is an integer we can use I. Similarly for b is for boolean or maybe something like that. So this is like a very easy way to write your schemas. And one thing that we have is this explanation mark, that I'm still thinking how I can improve this, uh, because there are some people, including our CTO, doesn't like this kind of sentence. I don't know why, but I'll ask him sometime that why he doesn't like this kind of syntax. But this is something, maybe they were expecting it to have this kind of syntax that we have in the TypeScript, or maybe something like that. So, but for now in the POC we have this. So look at this. When I mark this as required, it was automatically be appended into this array, required array. So we do not need to like write ourselves that this is required. Just
So Nasir, Tokir,
Mhm.
so you can use the static as there for the required field.
Yeah,
That is the
I was
standard.
I was thinking that like we can use statics or something like, but static is like very confusing. Like it's way more confusing than like using this question mark or maybe something like this flag, because this flag
See,
people using.
a question mark and exclamation mark are both using as a standard. People are using as a standard in GraphQL, and similarly in TypeScript, and even now you can, they are using as a in ECMAScript as an optional parameter.
Mm-hmm. So I was just still struggling on this kind of syntax, because I want it to be very easy for people to like adopt. And for me, this was good actually, because this is the first like version that I proposed to my fellows, and they actually liked it. And but the problem is we want it to be more adoptable by the community as well. So that's why we are here today. So now I'm gonna present a bit of the syntax that I was working on, so that you could like give your feedback over it. And then I think I'm gonna like freeze this draft for this version, so that we don't amend anything from like maybe today or maybe tomorrow, because we have been delaying the parcel building because of this index, because we wanted it to be like as easy as possible, and so that we do not need to like redo all the things again, because the parser is very it's not very forgiving. So if you change something, so you will need to have like look at all the things that have already been implemented, and then change all of them again and again, and it's very tidy task. So that's why I waited for like maybe 2 or 3 weeks for this syntax. So now there is oh, so this is the same syntax that I proposed, and I couldn't like come up with anything new in my mind, and I don't think so. I'm gonna change this that much. This is the same syntax. Like for the schemas, we'll have the schemas. For the request bodies, we'll have request bodies. And one thing is we will be able to like have a way to have their own files, schemas.ssg, or maybe the only single file like main.ssg, or maybe the something that is more modularized into different modules, so we can have just name and then .module.ssg. This is something like there is a way to like modularize this kind of files into separate like we can split those files so that it would be merged easily, and for us to merge it into a single file so that it could be passed, it is easier for us to like understand what does this file contain. So let's say if we are going to have only a file for schemas, so we are going to have this kind of like file schemas.ssg. Similarly, we'll have the request bodies.ssg, and similarly we'll have the paths.ssg for the paths. And this is one of the like difficult things. that like I was wasting so much, like spending so much time to figure out how it is going to like look like. So I was like thinking we can have a similar way, like a block of paths, and then we can have the name of the uh, endpoint, and then maybe we could have the name of the tag. So I hope you know that what is tag in Swagger. So once you define this, then you will have a block for the request types, like methods you can say. So this is going to be like post, and then one is going to be get, and post is going to have its own like some data, and then get is going to have its own data. Then we'll have this kind of syntax. Maybe we could have this, or maybe remove this, so that there is no need to like decorate this like this. But I was thinking we can decorate this, so we could like look at this in a glimpse and see that it's something special, like it's not a normal thing. So it's maybe a reference, or maybe we can have a better way to express how we can reference the existing schemas. So this is how you are going to get the request body from this, and then use it here. And then you, if you make any change here, it will automatically uh, uh, reflect here. And similarly, we'll have the responses block, and this is something which seems very ambiguous to me, because for all the other properties we are going to have proper objects, but in this case maybe I was thinking for the blocks, and maybe we can have a proper object notation here as well, so that we have a key and then value pair, then key and value pair. So it's actually not a big deal, but I need your feedback on it, because I want it to be like uh, very easy for people to write and understand, and I want it to be consistent across the syntax and all the other things, so that it is easier for other people to learn it. I don't want it to be like a syntax that people would take like hours or maybe days to learn it. I want it to be so easy that if they see it in one like glimpse, they understand that, oh, this resembles to TypeScript and GraphQL, and we're going to use it like this, and you just do like remember it uh, in one like go. So there is no need to like learn and learn and learn, because like if you see in the GraphQL, which is very vast and like huge thing, but you need to learn all the things and you need to practice. But I don't want to do that. I want to like keep it as simple as possible, so that it is easier for people to work with the syntax. So similarly, I was thinking to for this kind of special keys, like we're going to have a responses like of 200, but there are some content type for the responses. Like we have content application JSON, and then we have a content of type text and plain, and so many other vendor specific contents as well. Like if you wanna send or maybe download an XML file, so you will have like vendor.xml and stuff like that. So this is one thing that is like confusing me, like either I should keep it as it is, and then I was also thinking that we can have I will have the arrays like this array of things, because this is way more easier to understand and write, and it is easier to like parse as well, and then it is easier for us to like build or have multiple things passed into it. But in other case we cannot do that. Or maybe we can also implement the generics that are already in TypeScript. So maybe we can go for that, but this is the current syntax version, or you can say it's a draft, which is the beta draft. So there will be some changes and maybe breaking changes as well, but I want it to be freezed for this particular version, because it has been already like delayed, and I wanted to like roll out as early as possible, so that we could get the feedback from the users, and we could see it in like as users see like using into the production as well, because this is not going to be only the syntax parsing and stuff like that. We will be having a complete CLI tool for this. We'll be having a complete editor for this. So we have so many things in our pipeline. So I hope if you have any question, just let me know. Anybody?
I just had a suggestion, but you just talked about that. I think the current version should be released. and feedback should be taken from the developers, and they will give a better feedback after using this, and what problem they are facing. I don't think so. Implementing generics at this stage is uh, uh, good for us, because we are we are just including the introducing the further complexity, as already Swagger schema has. So I think it's good to go with the current version. But you already told us about this already.
Yeah. So, Mink, do you have any suggestion on this particular area, or maybe on the paths overall?
I think personally it looks quite easy to write. Like it's very easy to understand what it's doing, especially the array. I think it's very easy to understand.
Mm-hmm.
I think I should try to use it when I actually write Swagger and see how I feel. Then I will have a better idea.
Yeah.
But so far it looks nice.
Yeah. Pranchal? Pranchal?
Yeah, one thing you initially removed that colon, right? Like after so writing 200 response. So this colon was not there as part of the walkthroughs you have given us previously. So for example, there's 200 colon, then we are writing this one.
Uh-huh.
So are we keeping this? Because in order to be consistent across the whole schema.
I think we should keep this because this is how it's working. Request body is going to be an object. So I think we should keep it as an object as well. So if it's going to be an object, we should keep this key value pair here. So it is going to be this like a key value pair of responses. So it will be like easier for people to understand and write it.
No, because this colon is not there. So for example, when you're defining the post, so in order to be like symmetric and be consistent.
Yeah, and then
you got my point?
If we are going to make it like the key value pair, then we may have to use the columns as this chords as well, because currently we are not allowing like keys as numbers, because it is something that contradicts with the arrays and stuff like that. So, but I don't think so it's going to be a big deal if you want to add like this chords as just to use make them as strings, because it is going to be a key and value pair. And objects, you can actually have those, but I don't think so if it's going to be a good thing for our parser, because we are also restricting in cases where we're using identifiers and stuff like that. But we'll figure out what we can do. But this is the current like syntax that I can think of, that we should keep it as object and key member values.
And have you also documented the keywords which will be there? So for example, the extend part is already there in this doc, or that is something separate?
Actually, there are some keywords like schemas, parameters, and paths. So stuff like that. And there are some are going to be like some keywords like extend, but let's say if you use extend somewhere else in the code, it is not going to like cause any kind of issue, because it only expects that extends keyword to be present at a particular space in a schema. Okay, so let's suppose it will only expect this extend to be present once this definition is started for this expression. So like if you have extend somewhere else, like here, it will not cause an issue. So there is no like reason to like keep them as a keywords and stuff like that. Does it make sense?
Yeah. Can you go up once?
Yes.
And whenever you want to define a path, you always need to put a slash and define it in a particular way, or is it like you can write anything in terms of the API name?
Are you talking about this one?
Yes.
No, this was the older proposal. So I was just thinking of so many different patterns to define paths and stuff like that. So this is one of them, but originally now the
final one
from here starts from here. So these are some old like variations that I was working on. So I was like thinking like we can also do this kind of we can have this kind of syntax as well. We can have this kind of syntax as well. We can have this kind of syntax as well. So I was thinking of so many like different things, and then I came up with this syntax. After
So when a user want to define a path, we just, how do we write it? Is there a fixed way, or is like flexible?
this is going to be a way, like you will have to have a paths,
Paths, okay.
and then you just need to write the endpoint.
So for the endpoint, do we need to put a slash, or we can directly write the name of the endpoint?
Slash is
It
not.
can be anything.
It depends on your API, what we do in our current Swagger schemas, we put the slash because we do not include it after the index of the like our client SDK client. So what it does, it automatically like connects this concatenates this into one endpoint. And if we miss this, there will be no forward slash in the concatenation. So that's why we keep it as like this. So it is like a good way to like have your slashes in the definition endpoints.
And when we write the path name, do we need to put it in this particular format, or it can be anything?
No, it can be like what do you
Slash get user. Do we need to write like v1 hyphen get hyphen user, or it can be anything, right?
anything, man. Like it can be simply like this. Maybe get user by ID. It can be get user by ID. It can be anything. It depends on you how.
This bracket user means it's taking an input of user.
What do you say?
The bracket, the following parenthesis.
Yeah, this one.
Passing the user. Yes.
I was just thinking of like a way to append the like we have tags. Like we have tag of user in our global tags. So if we wanna like assign any tag, maybe we could like do this. So this is just a proposal. It's not something that is necessary here. So this is going to be an optional part here. If you maybe write it here.
I think if we put this here, then it can be confusing, since we call the functions the same way and we pass the variables.
Maybe Pranjal, I will suggest that maybe just open a PR or just download this in local and try to run this. So maybe then you will be able to understand a lot that what is the reason behind doing this.
Yeah, and one thing that I was also thinking was we can have decorators for such kind of things. So like we can have two @ signs, and then we can have this user. So it will automatically map this to the user. So it will be like a lot easier for us to write and understand what this decorator means as well. So we can use decorators for so many things. If we want to generate, let's say, some types definition or something like that, we can just name it inside this kind of decorators, and we can just do that. But I think this should work for us, so we can just go with anything. It's just matter of implementation. So either we can implement this one or we can implement this decorator, and it will work. And I just need a feedback on it, like what is going to be the better approach.
What if we we have defined post, we put a tag there, like tag, and then we write the tag name.
Sorry?
So inside the bracket of the path, we just write a tag and tag, just like we do it in current Swagger.
This one?
Inside the schema.
Oh, okay. So you're saying like tag user like this?
Something like this, yeah.
Yeah, we can maybe do this.
What do you guys think? I mean, the other users on the call, from a user perspective.
Takir, I just have a question. How we could handle request parameters in our paths? Is it like the same as we will do in Swagger, or we have some different thing in our TSC syntax
for parameters?
For request parameters.
Yeah, look, request parameter for the get can be parameters, and then for the post it can be request body.
Yeah.
Okay, so request body is simply an object. So you can just use the TSSG syntax for the request body like this, and you
Mhm.
just reference that, or maybe you can simply write this in place. So if you want to change this to an object and then to ID string, you can just do that. So it's not that like different thing. We're keeping the API similar for all the things so that it is easier for people to understand and write stuff.
Okay.
So so far I have this uh, AST Explorer, and if you see, I have this comments, some comments here, so that we could like explain what things, what these schemas are and how we are using them. So it is easier for us to like explain those instead of like writing a Swagger file and then JSON file and figuring out what does this mean and what does this mean. So we can explain things in uh, this way. And uh, let's cut this and write it from start, maybe. Schemas block. So just look at this. This is a schema expression block, and the body is empty because we don't have anything here. So as soon as I enter base user, so you will have this kind of error here, which is going to like tell you what it is expecting from you. It is expecting an opening and closing bracket. Okay, so once you write it, it will have this type schema expression, which has a name of this base user. So if you change the name from base user to something, so it is going to be something in this as well. So this is how it works. And then in the body of the this schema expression, we have like this body, which is going to be an object expression itself. So this object expression has some like key value pairs. So wherever we have the object expression, we're going to have a key as properties, and this properties is going to be an array. So this array is going to contain some data that which are we going to have here. So let's say if we want to include the name as a string, so it is going to have a single property because it's a single property, and this property is of type property because it's a member expression, and then it will have a key and value pair. So this is the key and this is the value pair. So key is of type identifier expression. Why it is identifier expression? Because it is not something that is literal. Okay, so you can only have the strings without quotes. So without quotes, it means it's a variable, so which is identifier. So that's why we name it as identifier expression, which has a name as name. So this is a name and name. We can have something here, so it will be something. Okay, similarly, this value part is also an identifier expression in this place, because otherwise if we want to have a string as a literal, we can do this and look at this. Now this is a literal because it's now literal string. So which value has a string, so we can have like something else. So it will just do that for you. It will parse this. So this is a basic, very basic syntax for writing a single schema. And then if we want to extend something, and look at this one thing, which is which may be interesting for you. Extends some other base user. So look, it didn't error out. It's because it is not checking if something is existing or not before it uses something. Okay, this is why I implemented it intentionally, because I do not wanted the parser to yell on us because there is no defined base user. We will do that from within the transformer, because it will otherwise it will not allow us to parse the schema where we have a definition under the like usage. We used it above, and then if we declare it here, it will not work. So in other term, we are just hoisting this above here. And this is something that is being done in JavaScript functions as well. Like if you declare a function down in the file and use it above, so your interpreter will not complain, because interpreter doesn't. What does interpreter do is it first parses your file, and then wherever it sees your function declaration, it puts in the top, and then it evaluates your whole file. So this is a similar approach I'm going to use here, because it is going to like help us um, split the files and import them in like irregular and like non-sequential manner. So there will be no restriction for us to use the proper order for all the things. So like if just imagine if we have a file named as user.schemas.json, maybe SSG, and then we have some other file, maybe which starts from W or Z, and then if it imports and the user is referencing to the schema from the other file. So if the interpreter loads that file in order where user comes first, but the other file comes after that, it will error out, because it will not be able to find that particular uh, schema that we're extending in the above. So that's why I just kept it this way, so that it is easier for us to evaluate on the runtime instead of like parsing time. So one thing that I also wanted to like teach today is, after this discussion, is we're going to have a look at the Peg.js. It is a parser builder that I'm using to write this parser. So I'll explain how does it work. So I'll try to mimic this little syntax for you, so that it is easier for you to understand how this all thing works. So I'll just open. If you have any question, you can ask in the meantime. So this is Peg.js. This is a parser generator for JavaScript. So what it does, it takes some rules from you, and it does the lexing and parser building automatically, and it does that behind the scenes. So you do not need to worry about tokenization steps and lexing step and then semantic analysis. You do not need to do that. It does it just does that for you. Like it has built-in lexical and syntactical analysis. So we do not need to worry about so many things that a parser requires to work properly. So this is the documentation for it, and it's very expressive. But if you have a little experience with BNF or CFGs, so the BNF is Backus-Naur form, and the CFG is context-free grammar. So if you have a little exposure to that, you will be able to like understand this in no time. But if you do not know how to write Backus-Naur form, you can just go and watch a YouTube video. There are so many like good tutorials over there. So it will be easier for you to understand how Backus-Naur form works and how you can write this kind of rules to build a parser or syntax parser. So this has an online version. So I'll just go and look at this. They have a very basic arithmetic expression grammar, which is this. So they are trying to evaluate and then look, 3 plus 4 is 7 and 7 into 2 is 14. So it is a correct answer. Like it means it is parsing it correctly. So just look, if I add something else, it will throw an error. It will say I was expecting something like from these arithmetic operators, but I found this A and I do not know what it is. So it will complain you. So this is how like you tell your parser builder to use these expressions to match a syntax like this and then give an output. So output can be in any form, like it can be a single value, or it can be a complete array, or it can be an object, it can be anything. So what we're going to do is, first we're going to have a look at a simple syntax, and then we'll move forward. This as this is the JS parser, so it is going to like use the regular expression from the JS. So the regex is going to be the JS. So you do not need to learn those or relearn anything. This is something like, but there is one thing, you always have the name of expression on the left, and then on the right, after this equal sign, you have your expression. Okay, so expression can be almost anything like you can think of. So let's say I have this expression, the start is equal to A. Okay, so look at this. As soon as it built the parser, the error changed. It's saying that I was expecting A, but you have given me 2, and I do not know what is this 2. So it is like throwing an error, and this is a fatal error. So that's why it's not going to like go forward if it hits a single error. So look at this. If as soon as I press A and look, it is parsing that, and it is returning that like because it knows that what is A. A is defined as here. So it is a token like which is defined here. A is something that has a special meaning in the parser. So it will say, okay, I accept this. But now, good, I press one more A. But now it will say I was expecting end of the input, but A was found. So what does it mean? Because here we are having only one character, and there is nothing like in front of it, or and then it's only the end of input here on this mark. This is the end of input. There is no input now, but we are passing one more input. So that's why it is giving us error. So this is simple regular expression term. Okay, so let's say I wanna add one more A, so I can do this. Okay, so but what if I want to match as many A's as I want? So I'll just simply do use this asterisk sign. Okay, so this is going to like tell 0 or many. So if I do not have anything, it will not error out. It will pass this successfully because it is either expecting A's 1 or 0 or more. So 0 can be like nothing. So it is accepting this as correct value, like nothing, no input. So as soon as type A, so look at this, it is matching all the A's because all the A's are recognized by the parser. Okay, so the reason now how we can make this a single string, a single matched string. Like I do not want it to have like an array of A. I want it to have a complete string like which has A's. So there is one thing like after every expression definition, we can open and close this expression, and then we can have this kind of syntax where we can write our own JavaScript into it. Okay, so this is going to be here we can return something. So look at this. If I return something, so look, it is returning me something. Okay, it is not returning me the actual string that was matched because now I'm overriding it here. Okay, so now you have also noticed that when I remove this, look at this, it is returning me an array. So why it is returning me an array? Because this is a multi expression. So similarly, I can use the plus. So plus is going to be, it will not accept the end of input in the first place. Okay, because it was expecting at least one character. So as soon as write one A and more A's, it will accept. So it's a basic thing. So one thing, we can also name our expressions so that those can be referenced inside this as variables. So let's say if I want it to be name, okay, and then I return name from it. So look at this, it is returning me the correct output again because whatever it was accepting here, I'm returning back so that it is returned into the main AST that we're building. So similarly, let's say A is a special token. So we want it to return us a complete 6 A's like this. So I'll do is because the name is array here, we can use the join, and then this join is going to join this into one string. Okay, So it is going to return us the complete matched string. So this is a like basic way of dealing with such kind of thing. So let's say I want this to be have a proper semantic meaning like as a node. So what I can do is I can simply return an object of type, maybe I will call it identifier, and then I can return the value of identifier, maybe, or maybe it is a name of the identifier. So we can just return that. And look at this, what it did, it accepted this, and then it returned us the type identifier and name as A. Do you have any questions so far? Anybody?
No, it's quite clear.
Okay, so there is also an easier way to do this joining. Like sometimes we want the raw input to be combined into a single text. So what we can do is either we can use this text built-in function. Look, it also returns the matched text. So we are not, there is no need to like combine all the tokens into one. So it will automatically do that for us. Like it will combine, it will take all the input that was matched by the expression, this particular expression, and then it will return it from here. Or either we can use $sign in front of this and then return the name, and this name is going to be the same. So now we can keep it like this. So this expression, when has this in front of it, is going to use and combine all these values in one text, and it will return automatically for you. So it is a way more easy for us to like write identifiers. So let's split it into multiple things. So let's say I just like this syntax because it is easier to write in separate file. Let's say the start of program is a list of some expressions. Okay, so how I can see that it's going to be expression list. Okay, so now I'll define what is an expression list. So expression list is something else, or maybe I can see, I can again write a many times. So look, now this expression list is a's or many times, and now then I can completely modify this. Like I can write the JavaScript and return the node for this particular statement, for this particular syntax. So look at this, like if I return and I keep it as like this, and I can say name as name. So, oh my bad. So this is how it's gonna work. So let's say I want to write a parser for this syntax, okay, where I want to have a keyword const, and then I want to have a name of the variable, and then equal sign, and then two. So which is going to be a complete declaration expression. So I'll just name that expression list can be a declaration expression. Okay, so what is a declaration expression? So I'll just copy that name and paste that, and I will say the declaration, like we can declare variable in JavaScript in so many ways, like const, var, let, something like that, but we'll keep this for const now. At first I want it to expect const. Okay, once it accepts that const, I want it to have a space. Okay, after that I want it to have an a. This is only for this static code. We'll change this later on. And then I want it to have a space, then equal sign, and then a character too. And I want a space here as well. So look at this. While writing this, this is matching this whole expression. And now I'm able to get the meaningful data for me. Okay, so now what I can do is I can just transform this. This is a very basic like version, but I'll come to the advanced one maybe where we will be configuring it more. So let's say I cut it and I make it a group, and then I name this single expression as expression, and then I return this expression. So look at this, it is again returning this. So expression is now an array. So we know that whenever we're going to have this kind of syntax, at the index 0 we're going to have the keyword. Okay, and then what I'll do is I'll return something like this, which is name of declaration expression, and then the type or the kind can be here we can like add the const manually. Okay, but if we want it, we can have expression 0, which is going to be of type const, so it will make it dynamic a bit. And then we can have the name of variable. So name of variable can be get taken from the index 2. So look at this, name is a, and similarly we can get the sign, or maybe we can just use any meaningful name, and then we have the value. Like this node can be changed into any key value pair, but I'll just keep it as simple as possible. So this expression is going to be maybe 6. So look, we have this syntax as a node now. So this is a proper, like have a node which is a declaration expression, which has a kind of const. It can be let and something like that as well. So let's say if I want to accept the let as well, what I'll do is I'll cut this and make it a group, and then have let as. So this is going to be an or expression. If it doesn't find the const, it will try to match with the let. So if we have the let here, so look, it is automatically parsing that into let. So if we write it like const here statically, it will not change this. So now it is picking that up. But we want to now allow people to have as many spaces as they want, because now it is only allowing one space. We want to have like multi spaces or maybe multi-line stuff like that. So how we can do this? Okay, so just look at these spaces. This is one space, this is one space, this is one space. I want this to be a white space. Okay, so what I will do is I will change this to a white space expression, white space expression, and this white space expression. And then I'll declare this white space expression here, and I'll add space backslash carriage return 0 or many. So look, now I can have many spaces which are being ignored. Okay, look at this spaces. Yeah, so I have now spaces. Even I have this kind of like new lines as well, but it's still forgiving, and it's accepting this as a valid syntax, and this is a valid syntax in our JavaScript as well. So this is how you.
Okay.
Yeah.
One question: can we have the space before let?
No, for now we cannot have. Look, good question.
Okay.
And if we want to have that, just copy and paste it before it, and now you will be able to have a space and stuff like that. So this is how easy
Okay.
it is.
Okay.
So it is very like easy way to do this. So what I do is I instead of this white space word, I use underscore, which is very easy to write because we need spaces so many places. So I keep it as is. So now it is very easy for you to understand how it is going to work. So let's now change this to a keyword. So I'll change this to maybe variable keyword. Okay, so the variable keyword is equal to this. Okay, so look, now I'm changing all this into like a dynamic way. So now if I want to add the var as well, I can just add here and I can write the var and it will accept. So there is no need to like do so many like things like that. Okay, so look, when I added the this space, this was broken because this space is not being ignored, and we were expecting this to be at expression 0 and 1. Now we need to change this 0, 1, 2, 3. So instead you do this kind of syntax where you use indexes, you just use the named expressions. Okay, so the problem is this name expression, you cannot have name expression within name expressions. This is not allowed in this peg. So you can also split this into its own expression, sub expression. If you need something else, you can then again split that into it. So, or either you can write a utility function. So to write some utility function, you can add this block here, and here you can write your function, which are your utility functions, or maybe nodes function, where you can define all the reusable code. So let's say I'll call it what I call it, list, or optional list, for example. Okay, so let's say it accepts some expression or maybe a list, and I'll check return list. If there is a list, return list, otherwise return this. So we can use this kind of things to build our nodes. Like we can have a node here, function node, and node is going to, or maybe we can have it proper variable node with the name of variable. Then we can have a this dot type is equal to variable node, for example, and then we can assign some data which is coming from here. So we can just pass the simple expression, and look at this. If we want to return the node, we can just cut it, and we can return the new variable node and pass this expression. Did I something unexpected token? Oh, okay. So look, now it's turning the variable node, which is coming from here. So if I want to extend this, and I can have this dot body, for example, if we want to have the body, we can have expression. So it will have type and body. So now you can use this kind of nodes in so many other places as well, where you need to like return a new variable node. And similarly, to change this, maybe we can change the 3, 5, or 4. Yeah, 5 and 7. So look, because we had a white space behind it, so that's why we had to change this indexes. So now it's a complete node. Okay, so this is how you like write a basic version of like which can parse your variable declarations. Var is equal to 2, and let's say we want to have now this semicolon as well. Like if we want to have that semicolon, so we will only need to go to here declaration expression, and then just add a white space more, because we can have a white space after the comma expression, and then accept that comma and mark it as optional. So now if you have this, or if you do not have this, it will not cause any issue. If you have spaces, and then this is so, and then you can have like this, and it will work, because we have this white space character here, because it is allowing the white space here. Okay, so just look how I'm going to add the multi-line or maybe single line comments. Okay, let's do the multi-line, because it will be able to be implemented inside this. So look at this. I'll just create a new expression. Let me just this multi-line comment, and then what I'll do is I'll keep this as it will start from this. Okay, because we know that it's always start from slash asterisk sign, and then at some point it will end at this sign. Got it? So in between, we want to have some data, something that can be anything, like any character, any digit, anything else that we can enter from the keyboard. So what I will do is I'll just open this group expression, and this group expression is going to be 0 or more, like we will have or will have nothing inside it. So we wanted to have everything but not this ending character, and then we part dot. Okay, so now what it will do, it will accept everything inside that syntax. Okay, so look, as we know that in most languages, multi-line comments or comments are white spaces. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just add this multi-line comment and add the OR operation. And now if I wanna add the multi-line, maybe something is wrong. Expected this. Oh, we haven't defined that inside this multi-line. Let me expect it to have multi-line. Expect ghost line. Multi-line, or it can be this expression. And multi-line is starting from. Let's see if I think I'm missing something. Or let go. Let A is equals to we have the OR operation. White space multi-line, and it should accept this. Well, it should work. Let's change all the things. Oh, I think I'm missing something. I need to have that after it, I think so. Multi-line comment. Expected this, but found A, but found this. Why it is ignoring this? This can be here, anything, anything, and 0 or many. It should accept now. But found. The precedence is first multi-line comments. It is starting having multiple expressions. Well, let's first see if it's working or not. We'll change the start from to multi-line, and then we'll expect it to multi-line comment. And then it is passing something. It is undefined because we are not getting that. We need to parse that as well. Comment and keep everything, and then return comment. Okay, so it's catching that something in now. So what is the reason it's not accepting this?
I think because we don't have a space before multi-line comment.
No. It's the spaces do not need to be go here because it's also one of the white spaces.
Hmm.
So I cannot have it like this as well. But let's again check it. Expression list. And now, if this is the white space, then it should accept this in one place. So expected this, const let var or this, but end of input was found. How come this is an input, end of input? It is starting from this. And let's keep it as multi-line comment for now. multi-line comment. Expected const let word but found. I implemented this on my own and now it's not working for me. Wow, that's good. It should let it, you know. It should expect anything into it. Expected this const let word. Like, excuse me, bad face load. So, anybody can guess what I'm missing here? There is something that I'm not inserting properly. Well, let me have a look at how I implemented this in my code. It should be simple. Yeah, look at this multi-line comment expression. And this is similar. And then here is multi-line expression. Same expression. So why it's not working for me? Yeah, maybe it's because I'm using this here where I needed to use all things alone like this, white spaces. So let's copy that. Yeah, this can be one of reasons. So let's see if it works now. Multi-line expression comment is multi-line comment. Yeah, so now it's taking that input. So let's say if it's okay. So one of the things is we cannot have the array expression, regular expression, because it is not going to like go onto the next one. So it will accept either the multi-line or the next. But in this case, it will see all the white spaces individually. So this is the reason that I missed, because I didn't implement this for me, but for like to explain you guys, I had that bracket expression. So let's say if it's const a is equals to, so now this multi-line comment should be expression declaration list. So if I want to have a comment between this, it should work. Yeah. So now it's working for me. So look, sometimes what we do in our function declarations, we sometimes have comments in this kind of syntax as well. And then we can have like our argument 1 and 2, and we can like go with this. So this is a similar thing that we can like achieve with multi-line comments and stuff like that. So now look at this. This expression will work for this as well. Like if we multi-line, we have other things as well, it will do that. But one reason is as we are using this as a white space, so white space is going to be ignored every time. So you will not have a way to like properly keep an eye on your comments. So this is the only reason that people use it as a white space. And when you see the AST from other explorers, look at this. I have write the comment, but there is no comment in the AST. But if I'll write const a is equals b, I'll have a proper declaration of that variable inside this. So it's just simply ignoring that. Like if we'll have this, it will still ignore it. So this is a similar approach that I used to implement multi-line expression as a white space. So this will allow us to like use comments everywhere, anywhere we want, even after the values or before the values. So just to annotate that we are using this thing for such purpose. So it is very easier for us to like use multi-line expressions in our code. So this is a similar way we are using on this. So if I add any multi-line comment here, it will still pass it. It will not have any issue on this AST. So there is we do not have any trace of that comment in the AST as well. But we can do that if we want. But I don't think so. We need to have such kind of like way where we need that comments to be grabbed. But if we still want to have those comments, we can just cache them into a separate node and then have them listed, so that let's say we have a to-do item, and we want to do something like we want to like tell people that you have a to-do in your schemas. So we can just grab those comments and we can traverse those and find that if a comment has a to-do item, like fix something, so it will just tell them that you have a to-do. So if you want to have a look, you go have a look at this line, so it will just show them this thing. So this is like a very basic way of working with the TSST, and I hope it is not that difficult to write a whole expression. Okay, so as I have explained a bit of the like how this works and how you can build your own ASDs, go check out the branch, this repository, TSST syntax parser. I have uploaded the source code for this. So here in the core.react.js, we have the complete expression. And I have tried to like annotate those like schemas block expression, and then we have request bodies block expression, and there are some expressions like request body schemas and parameters. They are redundant, but I kept this intentionally because maybe in future we will have something specifically for a single block, so we will not have to rewrite anything. So that's why I'm keeping it separate blocks, so you can have a look at this. It starts with a list of expressions. Okay, so it returns a list of expression. So list of expression is two things: head and tail. Head is going to be a single expression and tail is going to be a list of expressions. And then if I match this, I just return a program node and I build a list, and then I pass the data and it extracts or automatically builds the trees for me. That this utility is written in the init.js. Similarly, this expression that I'm writing here, like it can be expression, this can be an expression, one of those. Like it can be either a schemas block expression, either it can be a bodies block expression, or it can be a parameter expression. So what schema block expression is actually, so this is how we define the schemas block expression. It starts with a white, it can have a white space, and then it starts with the name schemas, it's a keyword, then followed by this opening bracket and then this closing bracket. And inside of this we can have a white spaces, like we can have any kind of white spaces, but then we can have one of those, one schema expression, or maybe it can be extendable schema expression. So simple schema expression is going to be like this. It starts with the identifier name followed by an object notation, and once it matches this, it automatically returns this. So this identifier and this object expression are defined below. Identifier is this: it starts with an underscore, capital or like any letter, and then followed by digits, letters, and underscores. Okay, so it returns us this node, which is type identifier expression, and its name is name, which is taken from here, like this name. And similarly, for object notation, we have a very simple expression here. It starts with curly braces and ends with the curly braces. Okay, so inside of it we have white spaces, or we have this optional member expression list. So member expression list is a list of key value expressions, and this key value expression is having a key with a type of identifier, then it followed by this colon, and then the value, and value can be anything, one of these, like it can be an array expression, it can be object expression. So we can pass multiple things into it, and it automatically like accepts the value that you are expecting it to have. So one thing is peg is what does is, once it matches any of the expression, let's say if it doesn't match this expression, it will go next to this expression. But if it doesn't match, if it matches this expression, it will just return from here, it will not go to other expressions. So you need to figure out like what expression I'm expecting to come first. Like the bigger syntax, bigger structure comes before the smaller structures. So always like we are, because in our grammar we can have arrays within objects within arrays. So array comes first, then objects is coming after it. So that's why this is the reason we are having arrays first and then object. So you need to like work on this, like think on the precedence of the expressions, because it is very important part of defining the peg. On the other hand, CFG doesn't do that. CFG builds multiple nodes for the same syntax, and then it decides what it's going to return for this. But for the peg, it will return for the first matching expression. So keep in mind, this is very important part. So similarly, I have array expression. Array expression starts with the and close with the this brackets, and then we have the array elements list. An array element list is a list of argument types that we can pass, and these argument types can be arrays, can have arrays expression, it can have object expression, it can have call expression. So look at this. If we pass this something as array of string, so just have a look at this. It automatically does that. It is taking that as expression, and that first type is identifier expression, and it's returning the string. So similarly, now I can pass the object. So look, it automatically changed that to object. And even I can have arrays within arrays, within arrays, within arrays, within arrays, within arrays, and it will work. It will not cause any issue. So this is how you write the recursive expressions into it, and it accepts anything that you pass it. And then you can maybe pass this object, and then it will have the object in the end as well. So this is how easy it is to write such kind of syntax into a parser builder, because we do not want to like focus on writing a fully blown lexer and then syntactical analysis process. We don't want to do that. That's why we are just sticking with the peg.js, which is way easier to write and easy to understand. And for our use case, it is very easy to like extend, and we can just keep it as is. So I hope this was helpful for like you guys to understand something that is going to like help you to parse your own kind of syntaxes as well. Do you have any question, guys?
No, I'm good. I think this kind of walkthrough may not be required from the next time, because I think everyone should be able to go through it and read the
Yeah,
documentation rather than you
that's why
telling
I
us
recorded this session.
all
I
the
will
time.
pass this session to those who are interested into it, and then I'm just gonna continue building the other syntax, covering the other syntax as well. So once I'm done, I'll hand over the AST to maybe Pranjal, you and Ming, so that you could further write the transformer. And I'm just trying to keep the syntax as similar to as JavaScript AST. So you can just reuse the similar transformer that we have written earlier, and you can just change some of the things into it, and it will work. And I think we will going to keep the same syntax, like
Yeah. Yes.
uh,
Yes.
structure,
Structure
like
for
a
the
reducer and processor, the way we did earlier. So it will be far easier for us to like build this uh, AST parser. Sorry, the transformer. So Yogesh, do you have any question regarding TSSG or anything that I explained today?
No,
Was
I
that
don't have any question regarding this peg.js, but yeah, that proposal you showed, can you go over that again?
Yeah, sure.
I have one question. Okay, so you told us that we will be using key value pair, right? But with post and get, we are not using the colon, key value pair, right?
Like this is a key value pair. So yeah, this one.
No.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that. We can do that. It's not a big deal. I was just
How
that's
about we
Mhm.
remove it from the bottom rather than putting it on the post and get?
sorry.
We remove it from the 200 part and the other responses part rather than putting it, because I believe it is more easier to read than putting it in colon. Like, what do you think?
Like this.
Right.
Yes, and removing the colon.
Remove the column.
It is easy to write.
I mean, what do you think?
No, I'm good with both. I don't think so. This colon is going to like waste your time.
I
This is
think we should keep it because it's more intuitive to have it as a JavaScript, as a JSON. Like similar to JSON
Yeah, and
abstraction.
then the good thing will be we will not have to worry about like writing its own expression. We'll already have the object expression, so we can just write the a simple version of expression for such kind of member expression. So we may be writing its own version of a member expression where we can where we'll be expecting this to have such kind of reference values as well, because as of now I have done all the things, but I haven't done this object notation, this the dot notation and then variable. So I'll just do that, because in future there can be many other, like we want to like refer to a single property for some reason, or maybe something like let's say if we have address here, and this I don't think, oh I think it's on the PSSG.
Yeah, but we got your point.
But if we have like a user and then we have address, so the similar way we use the TypeScript pick to pick a single property from uh, interface or something like that.
Type, yeah.
Yeah, so I was thinking to have that here also, so that it is like it's easier for people to reference to those properties as well as individual properties, so they can less use the address as address. So it will be easier for us to go to that address from request bodies, then go to this, and then go to address, and then just place all the properties from the address to request body. So this is one thing that I'll be covering maybe tonight or maybe tomorrow. So I'll do that for sure, because this is a required and very like intuitive way to like reference to other nodes, or you can say the definitions. So that's it, I think. Then I'll just remove these decorators, and then I'll just keep this dot notation. And I think this is going to be good.
And what about that tagging thing? Are we keeping it that way, or what way we should finalize right now? Because
I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. What the implementation is good. Then maybe I'll just remove this one, and we'll keep the tags for individual, like inside this, like as a key value pair. So maybe I'll just do that. So it's just a matter matter of implementation. Like I can also implement it's easy for me. I can also implement it here. There is no like issue, but this implementation will be a bit good, because we will be having like this path expression, and then we can have a special values for such kind of like special key value pairs for such kind of additional information, which we can like then parse or maybe use as raw values into the transformer.
we'll keep it this way then.
Yeah, I'll just figure out that, and then I'll let you know. And I'm also like updating the documentations along the way, so it's taking some time, but I hope I'm covering things that are needed for people to understand this. So I just did that yesterday night before sleeping. So
If you need help with documentation, maybe me and Pranjal can help as well. Like if you can write a structure of what you want to include, then we can write some parts.
if you have like any kind of interest in writing documentation, just do that. Just like one thing is we want to have a proposal draft version 0.1 .md file.
And do it similar to the one I shared with you. Like we can pick structure from that.
I know that. I have gone through all these things before, and I know that we're going to use such kind of draft. But for now, we can only have a simple empty file where we can define all the data types and structures of the syntax overall. Okay, so it will be easier for like people to understand, and we will not waste too much time on writing this draft. So I think if Ming, you, or maybe Pranchal, or maybe Jokesh, you can have a look at such documentation, and then come up with our own syntax documentation, so that it is easier for us to like make amendments in the newer versions. What do you say, guys? Who will take it?
Yeah, only one person should do it.
Yeah, I know that only one can do that. Yogesh, are you interested to work on this?
So okay, yeah, I can do it.
Okay, so I'll share you this syntax. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and I already know that I hope you already know that this we're using this kind of and data types, and how we use how we can use array of strings, array of objects, and you need to define those as well because it is a part of the language. So
Mm-hmm.
just go through this GraphQL draft spec.
Okay.
So you don't need to like over things. Just go over some of the things that we have. Like we have white spaces, we have line terminators, we have comments, we have some tokens like request bodies,
Mm-hmm.
schema, stuff like that. Then we have some data types and we have arguments. We also have these values. We call it data types, string and boolean and number, integer, stuff like that. We'll also have like enums and one of, but we'll have that in uh, newer version. But we'll first put it in hand. So just go over the bit of the documentation like that we have in
Mm-hmm.
our own language, like objects, arrays, and stuff. Okay, so then figure out how you are going to define your draft for TSC syntax. Okay, so just
Okay.
your PR and we'll review that and then we'll merge that.
Sure.
Yeah, just take time like any time like only spend 1 hour, 2 hours a day.
If you need any help, let us know or let me know. I can help you.
Sure.
Just reach out, just send us a message on Slack or somewhere else, and we will be able to help you in no time.
Okay.
So thank you so much. I hope we are only 4 left now. Guys have left, and there were like 4 or 5 guys who couldn't join us because they are still in meeting. So I hope this is it for today. So if you have any further questions, just let me know.
I don't have questions for now.
Okay, good. So Pranchal will have a pair programming session tonight, hopefully.
Yes.
Yes, cool. So Ming, if you want to join, or maybe Yogesh, you can join us. But me and Pranchal is going to like work on some things, so we will be doing a pair programming today.
What time is it?
Maybe around 8, 9, maybe
8, 9.
late.
Okay. I'll join if I'm free.
Yeah, cool. I'll let you know. So I'll be working on the next like some stuff, like I'll be working on the paths. So it will be like if you will see me doing some stuff, so it will be like easy for you to like pick how PEG is written and how you can improve your own like skills in PEG. And maybe you can just
We can work on the transformer and you can work on the parser.
yeah, it's on you. It's on your interest that if you think yeah, you want to learn that as well, you can just jump in and learn PEG as well. If you don't want to do that, just go and work on transformers and stuff like that and figure out how we can like make it more better, more easier to like uh, uh, extend in there are some things that we need to improve as code as well, like we are using the recursive structures now. Maybe we can do something else which will improve our performance as well. So just you can like do research on anything and just contribute in any way you want. There is no restriction at all.
Cool.
Yeah, so thank you so much for your time, guys.
Thank you
Very
so much
well.
for the session and the energy
Yeah,
because of
I'm fasting today and
yes, because of the fasting I'm thinking. That's why I was saying you need not give the tutorial because everyone can read the documentation who want to do it.
documentation can be read, but the problem is there is no like good tutorial on the internet about Swag.js
So
stuff like that.
Yes.
So it will take a lot of time to figure out how things work if I don't teach you. So I don't want to waste your times as well.
thank you.
No worries, man. Thank you so much. I'll stop the share now.
Yes.
No, I can like take some rest. I also need to push some code, man.